following program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.
Welcome to Fairy Tale Access, where the head fairy's quest is to prove that fairy tales do exist in actual time, rather than once upon a time. Together, we will unravel the heroes, young and old, who turn dreams into reality. These are the people who still believe in happily ever after. The discoveries will bend even our most cynical non-believers into believing in fairy tales. Hi, welcome to Fairy Tale Access. Today, we're at Sausage King in Nashua, New Hampshire, and we're going to talk about the paranormal experience. And with me to discuss this really interesting subject is Cece the Huntress.
Hey, how are you doing?
Good. Thank you for joining me today.
Well, thank you for having me.
Oh, my pleasure.
What can I do for you?
Well, first, tell us a little bit about what's going on at the Sausage King.
What's going on at the Sausage King of Nashua? First thing you got to remember, it wasn't always the Sausage King of Nashua. This place was called Rice's Pharmacy. And little do people know that they remember the modernized Rice's Pharmacy. But years before that, let's say about 100 years ago, when it was the original Rice's Pharmacy, they used to do simple operations in the basement, in the back of the basement. And then what they used to do is make compounds in their own medication as well. So they had a doctor's office, and then they prescribed medication, which they made right here at the Sausage King of Nashua. So if you go back in the past and try to record some of that energy that we're looking for, you can find a lot of things here. So that's what's going on here. Lots and lots of activity.
So what is paranormal activity?
Well, paranormal activity is basically, the word paranormal itself just means paralleling normal. I have seen so many different ghost hunters and ghost hunting shows and ghost hunting groups try to change the actual definition of the word, saying it's just something that's not normal. Well, that's not true. It parallels normal. That's the dictionary's definition. Whatever is paranormal parallels normal. So this is outside of the realm of normal. And as far as activity as ghost hunters go, what we try to do is find the energy patterns, the electric energy patterns from the past. That's why we have really cool technical equipment, digital equipment. But there's another thing you can use. You can use your own body's energy to detect the energy from the past. You just have to know how to do it. And that's where I come in. I like to do a blend of metaphysics and high-tech ghost hunting, where I can train you and challenge you and educate you to the ways of using your own senses to merely verify what we already knew existed 200 years ago, now that we're using the scientific digital equipment.
Wow. So what have you found at the Sausage
We've got
EVPs.
EVPs. We've had events here so packed that we've had police push the people back in the building. That's how popular and how fantastic this building is.
So what type of experience
Well,
do they
the
go through?
experiences that we have gotten in this building are your hair being pulled, EMF meters going off for absolutely no reason at all when they wouldn't go off. We usually do baseline readings, so we know where the energy currents are, whether there's a power box or a lot of wiring. We, obviously, common sense will tell you you would not use your equipment there because you'd be getting a false positive. So we try to go in an area where there isn't much of that. And then we test it, baseline all around the room. And when you go back into the room and all of a sudden it starts to light up, you may have some fluctuation in an energy pattern there. But we can, you know what, we can talk for 4 hours on digital equipment, because digital equipment is only as good as what you pay for. Now, if you pay for, let's say, an EMF meter, about $100, $200, that thing's going to go off with every kind of impulse that there is. Honest to God. I like to hunt with a $30 one because it weeds out all that. An EMF meter, if you put it close enough to you, will go off with your pacemaker, your cell phone, your hearing aid, impulse wiring under the floor, your coffee maker just about to go off. That's why these ghost shows are filmed at night, because less activity, the equipment won't have a false positive. I weed through all of that. I like to have the spirits or that energy with an intellect respond to me on command when I ask it to. If I ask it to beep or move and it does light up the equipment at that point, then maybe we have something there. But if it's just willy-nilly lighting up, that's because we have environmental patterns and naturally occurring patterns that ebb and flow within our atmosphere that will trigger the high-tech sensitive equipment. The more you pay for it, the more you're going to get.
Wow.
Doesn't mean it's real.
So what have the experiences been, what have they been like here? What have people experienced?
Well,
or
like I
what are we
said-
going to see in the video that you
Well,
gave
what
us?
we've done here is I actually came in before we did any type of ghost hunting events. We came in and filmed the show, so we would have it in the raw. So no one else would have experienced the activity. Because sometimes when you have too many people that come to a place over and over and over and over again, I like to call it like it's been done to death. No pun intended, but it has been. And so the energy just doesn't seem to be readily available, and it seems to dissipate. But when we did it in the raw, we were getting EVPs, which were crazy.
What are EVPs?
EVPs are electronic voice phenomena. An electronic voice phenomena simply means talking to the dead. You hope that they respond to you on a tape recorder. And
Do they respond on a tape recorder?
yeah, and you get the sounds on the tape recorder. And there's another thing that I like to consider what I do, especially this year, 2013, is I'm setting the record straight on a lot of the different credits I've done, groundbreaking paranormal techniques. And one is 6 years ago, I developed a technique, really simple. When you think about it, very simple. Get a little tape recorder. I used to use a little reel-to-reel ones. You get it at Radio Shack, and I would talk into it, rewind it, play it back instantly for the camera. Now I do it with digital because it's really simple and fast. And I see people, like on Haunted Collectors, which we're managed with the same management company, using my techniques. I don't even get credit for these things. Well, I'm taking credit right now. That was my technique 6 years ago. It's 2013. Easy to find it. You can go to the web. And I have had a lot of groundbreaking techniques like that in places I've been to that other people will have their claim to fame on. Yet when you research me, you clearly see I was there 2 years prior. And the funny thing is we're all in the same management company for events. So we all kind of have to get along. But I really feel that you have to give credit where credit is due, regardless of what your status is in the paranormal or anywhere. Because isn't that how we treat we get our kids to do that? We would never teach our kids not to take credit where credit was due. So I feel as a woman in this industry, this is a whole nother topic, because it's a male-dominated industry, that we have to try harder. We've got to do it longer. We've got to really break the barrier here. There is a glass ceiling even in the paranormal industry, which I like to say I've already broken through, because I am taking claim to the credits that I have done and going on national television, radio interviews to make sure that people don't get mixed up when they see these techniques and think that person, there was a beginning for that. Somebody did that first. Give that person credit. Even if it's just a line credit, you don't have to say their name, CC the Huntress, but you don't have to do that. But you need to be able to give credit where credit is due. So that's electronic voice phenomena with a little bit of, soapboxing.
All right. Now, how did you get started in the field? Like, what drew you to this?
I've been in this, I'm not going to call it a field, but people do. It's a career path or whatever. And I've been doing this all my life. And I used to hear psychics and people say, hey, I've been doing this all my life, and I've been thinking, yeah, right. But then when I started to think back, I'm going, you know what? Really have been doing it all my life. I was born into a family where my great-grandmother, my babcia Rogala, and my grandmother, my babcia, or stara babka, it's Polish for grandmother, old grandmother, and they would do dream interpretations. We'd always go to them with our dreams. What does this mean? What does that mean? And when my grandmother was dying, she says, you have to get me a phone for the casket, because how am I going to answer your dreams come through? So I learned by her and my great-grandmother how to interpret, how to communicate by doing metaphysical principles. So, and from there, just, you go forward. I would have to say actively investigating the paranormal itself, looking for answers, probably from the young age of 8. I'm trying to recall, that's hard to recall, but I would say about that time frame.
So do you see ghosts? And on any of the ones that you've investigated, are there presence of ghosts that people can actually see in the camera?
What you can see, and a lot of people when they take photographs, is you'll see these wiggly lines or you see this blurring stuff, and they're like, well, why is it out of focus? Well, because what you're doing is you're capturing energy patterns. Mm-hmm. And energy patterns adhere to it used to be the film, but now to the digital, the iris, and into the camera, a little bit different. So you're seeing the difference in the patterns. And so that's a real cool thing. The other thing is you can feel it, and I'm going to teach you how to do that. You can actually feel the energy when it goes by you. And so you have energy on energy, and your body will react to it. And that's really cool, too.
So is it a lot like The Ghost Whisperer, a television show?
Well, sort of like that. But you've got to remember, Hollywood is over-processed with a lot of music in it, and even with,
So there's no music?
Well, no, there's no music at all. Unless you're, have a couple too many, then you'd be hearing anything you want. But, no, I do things different. I do it by myself without a team, just a video guy, and
but you also help heal spirits. So
yes.
Wouldn't that be a lot like The Ghost Whisperer, just to give people a visual idea?
I would say possibly for a visual, but you'd have to. Every single situation is different, and I'm a healer first and foremost before the quote ghost hunting, thing. I've been doing this, like I said, all my life. This is my day job. It's not a weekend hobby or something I watched on TV, and decided I want to emulate. This is what I actually do, and so to heal, and I spent a great amount of time healing on the internet. For instance, just the plane crash that happened in San Francisco where the 2 died. I spent a lot of time on Skype with family members and people that had concerns. And I would do healings and prayers. When we had the bombing for the Boston Marathon, I couldn't get to the site, but I made darn sure I was close enough to the site to offer whatever help I could. Obviously not dressed as Cece the Huntress or advertising myself, but I am out there in the rough, whether it's praying, like people go to church and pray. Mm-hmm. What are you praying for? You're praying for good thoughts, goodness. You're praying for healing and comforting other people. You're doing it.
So why do ghosts need help with that?
Well, because sometimes they get confused. And the perfect example for me to explain to you would be like the Hoosac Tunnel. In the Hoosac Tunnel, they had, like 95 people died in a mining accident there. Mm-hmm. And they died so quick, they left young families and whatnot. And there's always reports of disturbances in and out of that tunnel. And I thought there was a lot of unrest. And so I went into the tunnel. It's a 5-mile tunnel. In fact, I was the only one that granted permission to go through that tunnel. And to this day, still the only one. Ghost Adventures couldn't get in, and Ghost Hunters couldn't get in. But they let me in. I like to say it's because I keep the integrity of the facility or property, the historical value intact, without, oh my gosh, you hear that, and then run out. I don't make a spectacle of myself that way. We try to keep it based more in research as it's happening. Mm-hmm. And it was important to heal that area. So those people the spirits that were trapped there could go on if they wanted to. They could be released. Another example, home in Milford, New Hampshire, where the Underground Railroad was, supposedly they kept saying, we actually found a safe room and contacted the University of New Hampshire. We found a breach in a wall and then a sub-basement 4 feet down. Oh, I got to take you there. We'd crawl underneath. It'd be fun.
Really?
Yeah, we got spikes like that in the ceiling. You got to kind of get on your belly and go through it. But that was a fantastic place, and it was more or less healing the strife of the people that went and used the Underground Railroad, the black slaves. But I did it during the daytime, because during the daytime is when they were in those cramped rooms. At night, they were out, going along the trail. So.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So what did you feel like there? What type of experience did you have when you were in there?
I was like hysterical, mournful. It was bizarre. We had filmed that particular show, the one in Milford, the Underground Railroad, filmed that in February. And it was very, very cold. I took temperature readings, and everything was fluctuating all over the place. And we had like crying and moans on the EVP, like people hysterically screaming. It was really scary. After I did the healing, everything was like calmed down. All the readings calmed down. And I did an application. It's called Reiki, because I'm a Reiki master. I'm also a licensed practicing physician in Corona Reiki.
Oh, wow. So tell me a little bit more about these type of experiences when people go in. What should they know first off?
Well, first off, we do have safety rules, just common sense things. Don't go alone, number one. Because it's dark outside, people tend to think they have to do it in the dark. Well, the dark's a really good creep factor, gets your adrenaline going and all this other stuff, but you don't have to go during the at night. You can go during the day. Ghosts are around 24 hours a day. There's no reason you have to go at night unless you just want to scare yourself. And to scare yourself, it's dark. You're stumbling around in a graveyard. You're tripping over roots that are overgrown. You could bang your head. Who are you going to call? Nobody, not even a Ghostbuster, because you're laying on the ground. So always bring a cell phone. Always do the buddy system. Mm-hmm. Do not drink alcohol. It's, sometimes when you go to events and like if I go to a restaurant, we're having events, they make their living on that. That's okay then. We're in a structured setting at that point. But when I go to graveyards or we're traveling to different locations, or for instance, we're doing an island where a prison warden would let prisoners go and his friends would shoot them for sport, and we're taking a barge to an island, there is no alcohol. Because it can impair you to the point where you could stumble, fall, bang your head, or you really think you're seeing things that aren't there, and it's just not a good thing altogether. To be drinking alcohol when you're on a paranormal investigation, because you can't discern whether it's paranormal or the alcohol.
So some of the stories that we're going to show entail a variety of different places. And people have already told you before you go in, we think it's this ghost. No, we think it's this ghost. How do you go back and check, records? Do you check records?
I do take what they
do you do
say
historical
to heart.
searches?
Yeah, I take what they say to heart and write it all down. And then what I do is I'll go to a archive department in a historical society. Or let's say in Nashville, the Hunt Library. It's a special section of the library you can go to get archived records, census records. And you can pretty much track history, if you know how to see if there's a rhyme or reason to their story. Now, that's to what they think. Now, that could be real. That could be distorted because they've been told that story by the people they're renting the house from, or the people that bought the house, or their neighbors. And the story might be valid. But what they're experiencing may not be. They may be experiencing something environmental, like high EMF frequency in the area, which could cause bad dreams, hallucinations, rapid heartbeat, and 9 yards of things that can go wrong if things aren't grounded properly. You could have radon in the home.
Does radon? What type of effects does radon have?
I'm not really sure, but I have heard a lot of bad dreams with the radon. It is a poisonous gas, so I would think that it would impair you in some way. Another thing when calling information, I try to look at, does the person take any medication? It doesn't have to be psychiatric medication, because medication can impair, let's say if they've had alcohol again. Mm-hmm. And do they have food allergies? Is the woman menstruating? Is she having her period? Is she going through menopause? I mean, we try to take all this into, effect with the history to find out exactly what we're looking for before we go in. So you've got to do a good culling of all your information first before you go into a home for an investigation. Many of my investigations are filmed live to tape. And the documentary part in the beginning isn't, because we have to go here, there, and everywhere. But usually the actual filming of the investigation, we've already gone in before, we've found the hot spots. So we can cut the camera, go to the next hot spot. We don't have 4 to 5 days to sit in that house or that inn and make it look like one night of filming with the same clothes on. I personally think that that's just ridiculous. Mine are live to tape, so whatever's happening is happening in front of that camera as it's happening, instantly. Just like the instant EVPs. Talk, being to the camera. You can't mess with that in an edit. And so that's where I differ. I'm very, very real as it's happening. We don't always get the ghost. Most times we do. We get spirit and communication interaction because there is nobody there, just me and a camera guy. So again, we have a very, we don't have like your whole crew here with me, which you couldn't climb down a well. I've done that. I've done places where camera crews can't go. Just a video guy can maybe hang over the side and get me doing some things.
Wow. Well, several of the videos that I looked at, it looks like you really look at the whole story. You look at the history. You're practical in your approach. And it seems realer than some of the other ghost hunters.
It is real, number one. It's not over-processed with the music or over-edited. We don't shake the camera. We are 100% as it's happening. You see what we see. And people say, geez, it just looks so amateurish. No, I call it real. I call it 100% real. You hold the camera, you shoot, you got the action. How much more real can you get than that? You can't. So again, being a woman in a male-dominated industry, they try to color it by saying, oh, it's amateurish, it's this, it's that, it's whatever. Well, no, it's 100% real. That's what it is. And I just seem to go to a little bit more funkier places than you do. Because I think some of the places have been done to death. And I try to push the envelope that we can get spirit voices, let's say, in a well. And I did a live broadcast a few years back, in just January 26th, I think 3 years ago. And I did that live. And then 8 months later, there are my pals, the ghost hunters, being lowered on a swing in a well. And I'm thinking, oh, where'd they see that one? But I wasn't lowered. I actually climbed it. I climbed physically down the sides of the well, live. So, I mean, I don't think they could trump that, so they're better off getting in the swing so they wouldn't hurt themselves.
What are the most haunted places that you've been?
The most haunted place, are we talking about like in Nashville or just like in New Hampshire?
Anywhere. And then we'll work back to Nashville.
Okay.
Or in New Hampshire.
I would have to say, and I still stick with this one, it's Tortilla Flats in Merrimack.
Really?
It's the craziest place. It was built in 1776, and they've got a breach in the wall for the Underground Railroad that runs under the parking lot down towards the Merrimack River. And at times when we're doing different events, people have sworn, and I tried to get them to feel the energy patterns. I educate them. So they go out, and I send them out in the back parking lot, and I don't even take them in the basement. Tell me where the tunnel is. No one has gone wrong. They felt it in the ground. Right through their shoes. They feel the sponging of it. No one has ever been wrong. And then I take them in the basement and I show where it is, and they're going, we were right out the back there. We didn't even know that. I said, that's right, because now you're relying on your senses and your ability to feel the energy shifts and pattern changes. And I was there doing a live show. I did a lot of live shows streaming up on the internet. So we were there, and I was feeling something bouncing off of me. And you could see in the video, you can see things flying by, darting. And I think I went like this. But those were like little, like they call them orbs. And that is a very, it's like a global thing. A little spirit. A lot of people think it's dust. I do too. But there are times when a little thing of dust doesn't bang you and you can feel it, so I have to say something there. But we were going upstairs as this was happening, and there was a room. If you go up the stairs and go to the left, there's a room out in the back. And I just couldn't go in the room. Haven't gone back to even try to go in the room. And I made the video guy go in the room. I just said, this is something telling me don't go in there, and I'm not going to tempt fate. You go. You go. So he went and, filmed the whole place. He felt fine, but I didn't. And to this day, I mean, I'll go there for dinner, and I'll run events there, but I won't go up in that room. So I have to say that's a scary situation.
Wow.
Yeah.
What other haunted places are there in Nashua?
In Nashua, there are a whole bunch. Where do we start? We got the Gilson Road Cemetery, which is just crazy wild with spirit activity. A lot of different legends and reasons of speculation on why the ghosts are there. One is because the settlers came and, shushed the Indians away, the Native Americans, and they cursed them with death. Okay, that's one of the things. One of the other things was that there was a shaman in the area that told the Native Americans and the settlers that he could get rid of the negative spirits and all the ghosts that were around you and your bad dreams if you let him work his magic. So he worked his magic and he killed them. And he buried them in Gilson Road Cemetery. Because he thought the more he killed these people, the longer he would live. He would live for eternity. That was one of the rumors.
Wow.
Yeah, so, and the list goes on, and obviously the Gilson family's there, so that's a good place to go to. And then, of course, we have the Sausage King of Nashua right here, which we talked about Rice's Pharmacy, which is riveting. And then we have the Country Tavern, which is on Amherst Street, up and around the corner a bit. And that place is fascinating. That's a perfect example of the facts and the haunting being a little bit askew.
Okay.
I'm not going to say they're totally wrong, but they are askew if you really delve into it. People make their businesses on these ghosts. And I was able to find a bit that was askew with the verbiage, but the thing is, if you start here and you say a sentence, by the time it gets to the end of the line, it's something else. It could have simply be like that. But there are many spirits at the Country Tavern. Many, and we've done 6 so far to date sold out events there, whether it was to benefit the Red Cross or the Gold Star Mothers. We've just gone on and on with our events over there, and that's a pretty lively place. So we've been there. We also, Blunt Cemetery is, that's in Hollis. Okay, so that's not in Nashua.
No, that's okay.
But we also have, there's places that people aren't even aware of. There's an encampment, a tent encampment, and it's very sad. I've done healings over there for the homeless. I brought them blankets, I brought them coffee, and they live over this railroad bridge expansion that's half fallen down, but there's one track that works. Trains cross it. I don't know why they haven't closed it when the other half has fallen into this ravine. And people have fallen to their deaths on that. And that whole area out there, everything just lights up in EVPs, and I think it's a lot of a scared emotion and energy, just from people being displaced and not knowing, there are families there with kids in the summertime. And this is right in downtown Nashua. Can you believe this one? We're supposed to take care of our own.
I know.
Wow. It's just unbelievable.
What about Holman Stadium?
Holman Stadium. Thank you for mentioning that. I did a big event. In fact, that's when we had the police come in. We had so many people jam-packed in here, and we walked to Holman Stadium. Jackie Robinson was one of the first African Americans to play in a National League right here, the Nashua Dodgers. So we wanted to see if we could get some energy from the past there. Not only that, Whitney Houston sang there. She's been long passed away. I sang the national anthem there, and we did some spraying with our white sage, which is something that I do to call the spirits forward and get the great EVPs. They call me the queen of the EVPs. Well, yeah, I get a lot of them, and they're good. And the reason being is because I pepper the area first, call them forward so they can communicate. And we were there, and a girl, Jody Moore, and it's up on Facebook, and I'll send it to you if you want me to, took a snapshot, and it looked like a silhouette of a guy running the bases. People were freaked out. It was really cool. And so people were hearing on their EVPs like a crack of a bat. like that, and it was just amazing. In fact, the television show, Scorch's show out of, well, actually, he's on Fox 25 now. He had this TV show he came to film, and he's there, making fun of the whole ghost hunting thing, this and that. And then he turned around and went to some, was going out the gate and then coming back in just by himself. And something touched him. He came unglued on camera now.
He came unglued?
Totally unglued on camera. And so he got me upset. I'm unglued because him and I go back a long way. And he said, all my life, I thought you were fooling. Believe it. Something grabbed me. Something touched me. I don't know what it was. He packed up the whole camera crew now, and they left. He hasn't been back.
Oh my gosh, that's funny.
Yeah. I'm his resident ghost hunter on his show, too, so that's cool.
Oh. What other places did you find a lot of paranormal activity? Nashua, New Hampshire?
There's paranormal activity just about anywhere. It doesn't have to be in a graveyard. Mm-hmm. It could be just in a simple old building. It could be walking the street of downtown Nashua.
Ooh, what about the Red Cross building?
The Red Cross building is very haunted. In fact, I've done, like I told you, I've done many fundraisers there. And I've actually did an investigation there to see how haunted it was. And we didn't film that one, though. We didn't film it at all. They didn't want it filmed, but that's okay. But we got EVPs. They never told me what rooms people did what in upstairs, but I was drawn to one particular room. It was a blue room. Mm-hmm. And I said, a lot of bad news in this room. People are giving bad news in this room. And she says, yes, they are. She told me that when devastation happens, that sometimes they bring the family to that room, and that's a room designated to talk about, what had happened, fires or someone dying. That's where they give the bad news. And another room, I went in and I'm looking at it, and they're saying, we don't understand why these rooms connected. This is that, and why is it small here with this window? And I looked and I said, just knowing old structures, they must think I'm wicked psychic. I said, I think it was a baby nursery. And
really?
then we looked back, and lo and behold, it was. That's where the nursery was when they had a baby there. Yep.
Wow.
Really cool. But that place has got a lot of history to it, and it also has a lot of paranormal activity there. A lot of the girls will see things out the corner of their eye, and they're not afraid. It's like a friendly thing. There's nothing mean there at all. Very nice.
Wow. And you've also had time to write a book?
Yes, I have a book out by History Press. I was one of their first pilot projects a few years back called the Haunted America series. And they chose me because of the way my shows are they're rooted in factual history, science, and spirituality, and they wanted that historical root there with a paranormal undertone. Mm-hmm. And so what I did was I do like I always do. I like to give back to communities and businesses. That's why we're here. It's the Sausage King of Nashua, to lend them some business. And come get your hot dog.
I know. They're supposed to have great hot dogs there.
Yeah, they do. They really do. They really do. I'm getting sidetracked. But anyway, what I did with the book was what I do with everything I do. Try to give back to communities. Every single place in the book you can go to visit. And you can exchange commerce there if you want to. Anything from Canopy Lake to...
Canopy Lake is haunted?
Canopy Lake, Dance Hall Theater. Yes, Cab Calloway, Bing Crosby, Elvis Presley, you name it. Every star that was a star in the day and before went there and performed on that stage.
Wow.
Can you imagine the energy there? It's crazy. So it's nice to know that when you're looking at a community, you're looking at these old historic buildings, the canal, walk on the side of the canals, do some EVPs. You're going to get some stuff because the energy remains. And that's scientifically proven.
Oh, wow.
So on radio waves from 1920.
So it's not so much a ghost as the presence of somebody having been there before?
Well, a ghost is merely the energy that remains. All it is the energy. Our bodies leave us, and the energy pattern is still there with the intellect. That's what we've been learning. That's what we look for with our scientific equipment. That's what we try to communicate with. Oh, and so the eyebrow goes up.
All right, so now Cece the Huntress is going to take me downstairs in the Sausage King and see if I can experience any paranormal activity.
And you're going to see her scream.
We'll
Or
see.
shake a lot.
All right, so we'll be right back. All right, so now we're going downstairs into the Sausage King. So which way should we go first, Cece?
I see they have a bit of storage and stuff here. Let me just take a peek. This, we can just spend some time here because this is where they actually perform the major operations, whether it was to take your leg off, take your arm off, rudimentarily,
So
lobotomies. This is where it was performed, in this area of the basement.
Okay. Doesn't seem too comforting.
Huh. Can you feel anything different in the air here? I mean, can you feel anything when you're walking here at all? What I'm trying to do is get you to use your body, and then we
Okay.
can get into the different, equipment and stuff like that.
All right, so what should I do with my body to...
Shake yourself out. Okay. Now, this is what it's going to feel like.
Okay.
Tell me when you feel me.
Right about there. Definitely there.
So you know I'm here.
Mm-hmm.
Because you feel my, ooh. Yeah, you do have a big feel up there. Yep. I can feel it's almost like electricity.
Yeah, and
That's-
now it's weird. That got cold.
Yeah, it got cold. Sometimes you get hot, sometimes you get cold. You may feel breathless. Your legs might feel weak. You feel dizzy.
Mm-hmm.
Whole rapid heartbeat.
Okay.
Everybody feels something different. I'm getting goosebumps. But that's about what you feel when the energy comes into contact with you. So a lot of times you'll see me or psychics or anyone that has an ability for that. This is what I teach. Walk with your hands so then you can feel it. I just got prick here. So just kind of walk to see what you feel and where you feel it, and I'll tell you a little bit about the area.
So in this area, this is where they did operations,
Yes.
amputees.
Right around in here. Yes, they did. What do you feel?
I don't feel anything.
Okay.
Now,
This was the area when we had the camera off that we were getting spikes with this meter.
now what type of meter is this?
Okay, now it's on solid. When you watch the clip, you'll see it's off. And then we start to talk, then it starts to come on, but it's on solid. Really nothing down here, the wiring's way up there. So something is right here, according to this. Why did it shut off? It's still on, the green light's on.
So is it because of the electricity, do you think, or is it, does that show that there's a presence of something?
George Corrier, are you here? George, if you're here, Dr. George Corrier, if you're here, he was one of the doctors here, and William Blanchard
Was
was
another
the
doc-
pharmacist
Oh, okay.
of the original, over 100 years ago, Rice's Pharmacy. If you're here, can you make this light up? Can you just come forward and walk by us? Do you see it blink?
Mm-hmm.
Can you just come forward, come forward, come forward? Oh, he'd like to play beep beep. Make it beep faster. No. Can you walk by it again? Just walk by us. Dr. Corey, are you still here? Can you make... Dr. Corey, can you come forward? Come close to me.
Do you think it could be somebody else? So
Dr.
it's
Corey?
somebody else?
He was right here. We ran right into him. Interesting. What I like to do too is to take a photograph.
Okay.
But I usually take, getting the horse before the cart. When I do teach at my events and places, what I do is take a temperature, baseline temperature. This one has a laser. See the laser on the wall?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So saying 77, 78.
Okay.
You kind of go around, shoot, okay, this is pretty steady. 77, 78, 77, 78, 77, 78. The floor is what? 77, all about the same. 75, why would it be 75? If you have a fluctuation of about 5 degrees up or down, then I start taking photographs because now the energy pattern changed. And energy is in the form of temperature as well. That's why we use the temperature gauge. I'm kind of just scanning. 76, 77, 78, 78, 76. Nothing major here. No, nothing. Oh, you're hottie, you're 103.
Really?
No.
Thanks.
I didn't really see anything there. But what I usually do is when we do fluctuate, we take a picture. But that doesn't mean...
Is this the most haunted area of this facility?
I think this is right here, the minute you come down the door. We just take some pictures, see what we find. I'm going to do that one again. Okay.
What do the pictures usually show?
That was very interesting. Take another one. Okay, now I think we got something here. Can you see it? It looks kind of like light here.
Mm-hmm.
Then all of a sudden, the lightness moves down here. Can you see
Is
it?
this part of it in the upper corner?
Yeah, it's almost like a fog.
Mm-hmm.
There's no fog here. So that's interesting right there. Another thing, we can take a walk down to where they used to make the compounds.
Okay.
Now these were all the chemicals and different herbs that the Native Americans used for, let's say, a headache, which would be salicin, which has a lot to do with aspirin, which is really cool. They did cough medicine formulas that had arsenic in it.
Arsenic?
And, oh yeah,
Nice.
arsenic and heroin or something
So
like
they
that. And-
slowly killed their patients?
oh yeah, got rid of cough permanently.
Wow.
Yeah. And we get a lot of that. That was all along the front here. It was a compounding section here. A lot of these walls and offices weren't here. Now, in order to do a correct EMF, look at the wires. This would be senseless. This is a whole power surge area. You can't really do much with digital equipment here. So you would rely on this. Or an EVP. And an EVP, electronic voice phenomena. And what we could do, I like to calm the area down first. That's why they call me the queen of the EVPs, because I'll spray, I'll calm the area down, I'll call the spirits forward, and we'll see if we can get them to talk to us.
Okay.
I had, when you play the clip, Dr. Corrier, he said my name. I had been here so many times, it's like, you know, do you know who I am? And you could hear, see, right there, right from him. It's so cool. So, here we go. I come in peace. I bid you no harm. Just want to communicate with you. Would like you to come forward and talk to us so we can validate you. Dr. George Corrier, William Blanchard, and all the people connected to this building. Just know we're here friendly, and we love you, and we want to talk to you. I pray in precious name. Amen. Okay.
So we are supposed to relax.
Let's see if we can ask a question. Let's see if we get them to answer us.
Okay.
Are there any spirits here? Can you see us? Dr. Coria, are you here?
Are there any spirits here? Can you see us? Dr. Coria, are you here?
That sounded like something after that last one.
Yeah. Play it again.
Oh, sorry.
Are there any spirits here? Can you see us? Dr. Coria, are you here?
You can hear them. You can hear them. I'll send you that. I'll send you that
Okay.
WAV file. That's so cool. But that's how I like to communicate, because they will take their voices, and you got to remember they don't have vocal cords, but they'll take that mechanical sound and put it down. They'll start to talk to you and communicate, and you play it right back. And that's a technique that I developed that you do see on the shows. I did that 6 years ago. I think that's groundbreaking. And the
Now,
other
the other stone that you carry, why do you carry that stone?
this stone right here, this right here is black tourmaline. It absorbs negative energy. This chunk is a
So
good
are there a lot of negative, do you ever run into negative ghosts? or
all the
negative?
time. Yeah. And so it's best that things are absorbed, because I'm working with the camera instead of, other things happening. I also have white, it's called black salt spray. You know the old wives' tale, put the black salt near the threshold so that the bad spirits won't cross over? Well, you know what, they can come in a window. I don't understand, do it around the whole damn house, So I have this, it's not staining, it doesn't have an odor, and you can just spray it if you feel like you've come in contact with something negative, and it'll absorb it. I try to absorb it before I get that way.
What's the
And
red for?
This one,
Right, the green is calming.
the green is calming, the blue one is the black salt spray, and this, you smell it? That's my perfume. You can get it at ccthehuntress.com. It's wicked cool. No, really, it's not just that. It is a body spray, but you can do spirit communication with it. It has herbs and oils in it that call spirits forward, good for clairvoyancy and stuff, and sexuality. Us girls, we need that. Well, you don't. You just look good. So it suits its purpose. And when I don't have this, I use this if I carry it with me, or I spray it on myself. But what I wanted to do with the dowsing rods is go back to the compounding area and have you use them. I wanted to do the EVP in here because it was more quiet. So if we heard something, we wouldn't have the interference of upstairs.
Okay.
But this is really cool. Have you ever used dowsing rods before?
Never.
Dowsing rods have been around for thousands of years.
Wow.
Used by many people, all different walks of life. Surveyors use these. People use these, electricians use these. Plumbers use these. They're looking for water. Whatever you do, just don't do it near a water source because you'll probably get a false positive. What they do is detect energy, water, mineral, crystal, whatever's out there. I haven't found any gold. They say they're good for gold. I'm still looking.
All right.
You see me downtown Nashville with these things. But what they're good for is calling spirits forward,
Okay.
asking them to walk past or just move the rods. Don't get fancy. So what I do is I hold them like this. I'll let you do it.
Okay. So just hold them.
So just hold them. Do not do the white knuckle death grip, but hold them
Okay.
so they won't move. And the minute you feel them moving, let them move. Okay? And what I want you to do is not call anyone in this building forward.
Okay.
I want you to call someone you know or an animal that you know. Animals are with you 24 hours a day. Relatives come and go because you're visiting other relatives. Or they might be mad at you that day. So,
What if I don't know anybody from New Hampshire?
doesn't matter.
Or it doesn't matter where they're from?
No.
Okay.
White knuckle death grip. No, no. Okay. Now, who do you want to call forward?
Okay, think it Helen. Do you call them by their real name or do you call them by the name that you know them by?
By what they'd know you knew them by.
Okay. So just my
I
grandmother?
see like greenish, like something like navy green, pea green, something. Did she wear that color? Have those eyes? Something.
Blue.
Call forward.
Okay. Helen, if you're here, move the rods. Okay, Grandma, if you're here, move the rods.
Relax your hands, they're wiggling. Ask her again.
Grandma, if you're here, can you move the rods?
Ask her again.
Can you move the rods?
Relax your hands. Tell her you love her.
Just keep calling her.
Just keep calling her forward. It's not every day you've called her forward, so she's got to practice too. Go ahead.
Grandma, can you move the rods?
Ask her again.
Grandma, can you come forward and move the rods?
Grandma, you want to give her a hug, don't you? Move the rods. Ask her again.
Grandma, can you move the rods?
Ask her again. Relax. Here she comes. Relax
Can you move
your
the
hands.
rods?
Ask her to come forward.
Grandma, can you move the rods?
She's a stubborn woman. Ask her to move them.
Can you come in and move the rods
Just relax
together?
your hands. She's moving them. Are you doing this?
No.
Ask her to do them. Ask her to move them.
Grandma, can you move the rods?
Take my energy if you need it, Grandma. I know you feel weak. You feel weak, but I've got a lot of energy. Just take mine. Open up. She wants to come give you a hug. Open them up. Let her hug you. Ask her to hug you.
Can you give me a hug? Oh, that is
Take my rod. Come on, take my energy, Grandma. You can do it. Tell her you love her.
Grandma, can you move the rods together?
She's closing some kind of circle that needed to be closed. Unfinished business. Closing the circle of life. And that's where she remains.
Yeah, I'm working on it.
There's something to it.
There is.
Okay, that's why she did that then.
It feels like a magnet.
Yeah.
That is really great.
Now,
That's kind of cool, guys.
okay, keep her there. Now we're going to do something real difficult.
Okay.
Ask her to open the rods.
All right, Grandma, can you open the rods now?
Open the rods, Grandma. Very difficult to do. She may not be able to, but open them. Ask her to open them again.
Grandma, can you open the rods?
She's asking you, do you understand what I mean? The circle has to be closed, unfinished business. Closed.
I'm working on it.
Okay. Maybe now she wants to give you a kiss on the cheek. Open your hands. Are you going to give her a kiss on the cheek now? Maybe not. It's vitally important. This whatever circle to her. Okay. Now, did you move those?
No.
Did you
It
feel
feels
tingly?
like no, it feels
Tingly up
like
your arm? Yeah.
warm and
Yeah.
through here, and then it just feels like a magnet, like
Right.
when you have
That-
magnets on a
that's-
refrigerator.
Right. Like you can feel it. That's because the energy intercepted them. Her spirit energy came through here, down here into those hands to make this move. But she was saying something very important to you that she didn't want to get off track or off base, that you know the answer to. I know you do because I can see it on your face. And you're working on it. That's good. You'll contact her again and you'll pray for her. That's what you have to do. But that's what I do, and that's what we did down here, you know, with all the different things that we have with our ghost hunting equipment. And I did surveillance cameras down here. I mean, this is just a little travel pack. I have a whole bunch of equipment, whether it's a ghost box, you know, the surveillance cameras and all those high tech, you know, and thermal cams and everything else, which I find pretty useless. But hey, they look cool on TV, so I'm going to use them. Your best gauge is your own body. As you felt when you were there, you could feel it, and you knew that Dr. Courier, beep, 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 that was on
So
command.
those rods are typically used for finding water or
Water, gold, minerals.
Okay. So how can the ghost make it come together? What makes it come together like that? Is it
The
attracted
energy.
to itself?
No, we asked the spirit, the energy that remains from your grandmother, to come forward. When
Can I
she
see
came
those
forward
again?
and she came into view,
I just
that's
wanna
when
see
they
if they
started to
feel-
move.
Like yeah, it's weird. So when you're holding them, they don't
Until they charge up.
right, but they don't feel like here I'm going like this. I feel nothing. But before, it literally felt like that magnetic pull you feel when you're playing with magnets
That's
on the
right, because
refrigerator.
she was
or-
coming right in there, and you could feel her.
That's pretty cool.
She used to do something like this to you, like that. I can kind of see her doing this. I could see her like that.
That's really creepy.
Are you okay?
Yeah.
I told you not to cry.
And I cried.
Yeah.
Okay. So, what else can people experience on these things?
Well, when they come to here,
Or anywhere? Like,
well, you have to know the signs, and this is where I differ when I do events. We don't talk about ourselves, or you know, if you want to read about us, go to the website. What we're here to do is challenge you. We're going to educate you how to use this, your body, how to interpret the signs, how to feel the energy. Feeling's a good thing. Use the intuition. Your God-given intuition was given to you for a reason. Think and use it. How to use your equipment properly. Because if you don't use the equipment properly, you're going to get really weird, funky reads anyways. So we want you to know your history. Go to the library. Get off of Google. God, I shouldn't have said that. But maybe you'll be sponsored someday. But what I'm saying is you need, and kids need to go to the library, look up valid information. And they would get a great, like an A+ on a book report or something like that. If they actually went and did the research there, they'd have information nobody else had that's accurate. And so that's what we give you. We give you the tools on how to find the history, back it up with the science, back it up with the spirituality. And then this is science right here, because you can feel it. You can feel it.
it's really bugging me
Pulsating.
that these are not magnetic now.
They're not magnetic.
That is amazing. Well, thank you for sharing so much of what you do with us.
Anytime. Next time I'll
Appreciate
take
it.
you in graveyard at night.
Okay.
That'd be
I'm
fun.
there. Always up for a challenge. And maybe we'll capture some of it.
Yeah.
But thank you again. And if people want more information about what you do, Cece, where can they reach
You
you?
can go to ccthehuntress.com, just 2 letters C's, thehuntress.com. You can find out all the information about me. I'm a 5-time Paranormal Award winner and over 39 covers of magazines and a whole bunch of groundbreaking material right there on the website.
Great. Keep asking questions. Believe me, you just never know. Until next time, we'll see you soon. Thank you,
So now you believe her?
Yeah, that was weird.
The preceding program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.